All right, hello Tide fans. Welcome to Tide Talk. I'm still alive. I'm your host, Sean Taylor, here with my buddy Jimmy, Maurice on Zoom.
Hello.
Listen, I think there's so much to talk about. I'm not even going. I'm going to spare some pleasantries and just jump right in. And this time, actually, I'm going to start it. We started the year with having some questions, and I'm not so sure that we don't have more now. I know that in the conversations that we've had just over the course of the game Saturday night and until today, a lot of stuff that we've traded on text and that sort of thing. I know that we're all disappointed. I think disappointed may even be an understatement, just because of the expectation coming into the year, both defensively and offensively. We had high expectations. I have not lost all hope in that. I know that there's some Alabama fans that are probably even watching the show that's, ready to throw in the towel and say that the year's over and that sort of thing. The positive to this is it's game two, it's out of conference. It ultimately doesn't affect whether or not, we can meet the goals that we wanted. SEC championship, making it, well, first of all, making it to the SEC championship, making it to a playoff, it doesn't affect that. So that's something to look forward to. At the end of the day, I think everybody is wanting to see how we respond. I know for me personally, and I'm just going to speak for myself, I'm tired of hearing we're mad and that we're pissed off about that, and I'm tired of hearing that. Maybe that's because we're the University of Alabama, but I'm tired of hearing that. I'm ready to start seeing that. We were supposed to have the chip on our shoulder coming into this year. I didn't see the chip on our shoulder on Saturday night. Maybe you guys did, and you'll point something out to me that I missed, but I didn't see the chip on the shoulder. So then I got to just go out there and say, man, I know we've chatted back and forth on text. I got to start pointing to leadership. I got to start pointing to the coaches. And you mentioned all the ex-Bama players that are commenting and stuff like that. Man, I was talking to a buddy of mine. I have not seen a Barrett Jones get in, a quarterback's face, and I hadn't seen anybody grab somebody by the face mask or challenge somebody on the sideline. It's all kind of niceties, if you will. I kind of said my piece. Maurice, I know you're chomping at the bit. Give me your summary, if you will, of Mike.
My thoughts are pretty much like yours. I've heard this before. I don't care that you're irritated. I don't care that there's no room for error. Heard that last year. Even heard it the year before. But it does start with leadership, and I'm going to start at the very top. Um, Coach Saban, you've had the opportunity or the chances during the off season to address certain things, and it doesn't look like that they were addressed. Too many mistakes again in a big game, and you're not going to win crucial games with the number of ridiculous penalties that we had. They were legit. I mean, not all of them. A couple of them may have been questioned, but some of them were just ridiculous. Lack of focus during the game. Um, I'll blame some of it on schemes, but yeah, there was no chip. As a matter of fact, Longhorns came into Bryant Denny and intimidated us and pushed us around. I think that's what I was. Yeah, I was reading something that George Teague posted a couple hours ago, and he was highly irritated at the players for allowing them to come in there, and not only that, allowing them after the game to do their celebration on our field at midfield over our. I mean, they didn't disrespect it or stomp it, but the fact that they're out there taking pictures, coaches hanging around that that y'all allow y'all the players because of your lackadaisical effort allowed that to happen. So I don't, all the preseason talk that we heard about the chip on the shoulder, we got something to prove. Well, you proved something to me that my early estimation, I'll admit I drank the Kool-Aid last week, but my early estimation of what this team was going to be came to fruition last Saturday night.
Yeah.
So,
Jimmy, your turn.
We sat in here last week after the first game, all smiles. We talked about how it just looked different, even though it was a lesser opponent. But we talked about this just looked different, right? It was just a week ago. Now, fast forward a week, and everybody seems to be doom and gloom. Which, again, there's a reason for that, obviously, and probably need to be in to a degree. But what you said about the standard, yes, Coach Saban has set the standard. His assistant coaches helped set the standard. Former players helped set the standard. And again, what we saw Saturday night was Texas setting a standard that's what we used to look like. That's how we were supposed to look, and that's how we used to look. And that was the most disappointing thing to me. Saban's had 2 undefeated seasons in 15, 16 years, 2, I think, 2, maybe 3,
Yeah.
2. So, we lose a game. But again, it's how you lose it. And that was the most disappointing thing to me. Again, it's how you lose that game going into it. Like I said, we had every reason to win it. Again, we had, we were at home, and that crowd, it obviously wasn't a factor, but it wasn't because they wasn't there involved. They were loud.
It didn't affect them.
But again,
right.
It wasn't because we were sitting on our hands just watching the game. The place was rocking. The atmosphere was where it needed to be. Obviously, it didn't bother Texas. It bothered us more than it did Texas. Again, that just goes back to, again, the standard that we used to play under. That was never really the case. Again, the last couple of years, it seems like we're having this conversation more than we used to have as far as that standard and what is going on. And you're right. It starts at the top. But again, I'm not ready to jump off the cliff. I'm not throwing in the towel.
Me neither.
I think Texas, again, they could prove us wrong, but they're probably, and I would bet they're the best team on our schedule. Of course, if it was on our schedule. I think looking forward, there's not a better team that we'll face.
Yes, there will be.
And again, I may be proved wrong on that. I think every game we have left is winnable, regardless of how bad we may have looked. So again, I'm not doom and gloom. I'm not ready to jump off the cliff yet. I'm not sitting and say we're about to lose 3 or 4 games. That's not going to happen.
I just don't have that confidence, guys. I don't have that confidence like I used to have. That, man, we just going to win the game. Whether that was because our defense was so good or because we were really good offensively, I just don't have that confidence. And I've said this before. And we're going to go to a break in just a second, and I'm sure we'll come back in and talk about this, but I've said this before. I said it on the text messages we were sharing. You can't continue, in my opinion, to have the top-ranked recruiting classes over and over and over again, and then that happen on Saturday night. That says to me that something's going on. Either the coaching staff, something's going on, or the recruiting rankings with respect to these kids, they're way off base. One of those,
or there's the developing of the players. You can get the best high school players, and you're not developing. It's kind of like going out and buying the fastest race car and then finishing in fifth in a race. There's no reason why you should be. You should be top 2 or 3. And this team, in my opinion, is nowhere close based on what we saw Saturday night. Is not a top 3 team, and I'm not gloom and doom, but I am a realist, and I know what I'm seeing. So
I think you may be accurate. So again, man, a lot to talk about. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and break that down a little bit more because Maurice, I'm in agreement with you. It ain't about doom and gloom. It's just reality and what I saw. So Let's take a quick break. Hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Accidents happen, and when water damage strikes, you need professionals who can restore your floors to their former glory. Our skilled team of experts is equipped with the latest tools and techniques to handle any water damage situation, ensuring a thorough and efficient restoration process. Huckabee Brothers Floor Covering, your trusted flooring experts, serving the community for over 40 years.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. Maurice, you were talking right there before the break. Yeah, for me, it's really not about doom and gloom. I know that, we've said this before with respect to being spoiled Alabama fans. I just don't see us, based on what I didn't see us being overly dominant in the Middle Tennessee game. If you remember me saying, I expected more from our offensive line, gaping holes and just dominating the trenches. We didn't see that then. We certainly didn't see that Saturday night. And I don't understand why. You hear all the conversation about the athletes and about the size of our offensive line and about the players that we're getting 5-star here and 5 stars on the bench and 4 stars and we seem to be getting outplayed and outcoached in the big games. I think you sent a stat in one of the text messages that we've lost 4 of the last 7 Power 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that is just not Alabama. It's not what we're used to. Maybe it's what we need.
To Jimmy's point, and what has continued this year, and I sent y'all these are NCAA stats. We're 63rd in total defense, and I believe 66th in total offense. And even in penalties, we're getting back to where we were last year as far as where we stand. But the total offense and total defense, we're not. That's nothing intimidating by any means. You're an average team when you come in with those numbers. And I know it's only week 2, and you played Middle Tennessee, and everybody else has played, a bunch of, powder puff teams, so to speak. No offense to the powder puff people. Yeah, this team is, you're not intimidating anybody when you walk out there just because you're Alabama now. And I think everybody's starting to see a little kink in the armor. They see the possibility of some weaknesses, and they're going to start exposing it. And that's what scares me, is the fact that we're going to face people like Lane Kiffin, Bobby Petrino now calling plays at A&M. Hugh Freeze is a great offensive play caller. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
I'll put it that way.
Jimmy, nobody's afraid to come play us, even at home. Sark talked about, I didn't want to tell our guys that they're 52-1 at home. Well, nobody's afraid to come to Tuscaloosa and play us when we used to impose our will and strike some fear in people about coming to Tuscaloosa. I even made the statement I was glad the game was in Tuscaloosa, but the crowd impacted us more than it did them. 10 penalties to 3. And so again, you break that down, and where does that start? Now, I heard Saban take responsibility, but as I stated at the very beginning, man, I've heard that before.
Right.
When are we going to start seeing, the fruits to that labor? And as an Alabama fan, and I have been all my life, I'm used to seeing us impose our will. I'm used to seeing us be able to stop somebody in a really good game when we needed to stop somebody.
Let me say this. You look at the first half. We established the run.
I agree.
We were punching them per se in the face. But man, look, they threw everything at us. Sark came out with a great plan. They were throwing everything at us in the first half. And they obviously they looked like they were coached and playing to win the game. We were coached and looked like we were playing just
Not to
not to lose the game. But man, with that being said, we were with them. I mean, we were taking those blows. I mean, we were, maybe bending but not breaking. And like I say, we were establishing that run, and then you make that one quarterback mistake when you throw the bad interception. But even then, I mean, halftime, we were in the game. I mean, it's not like we were getting drunk.
I agree with that.
We were in the game.
I agree with
We
that.
went ahead in the game. We had some stops in the second half. We took the lead. We were still in it until, again, the second mistake the quarterback made on the interception. So again, I mean, did it look like the Alabama of old? No. I'm just telling you, it's not as bad as y'all are making it. I'm just telling you.
Well, I hope
not.
that's right.
Whoa, what do you mean it's not? How is it not? We are trending.
Well, again, we talked
badly.
last year. We were just a couple of plays away, 10 seconds away from being undefeated.
This team is not a couple of plays
We were a
away
couple
from
plays
winning.
away in this game from winning it. I mean, he throws the second interception that gets run back almost for a touchdown. Yeah, they score the next play. They go up 2 scores. If that doesn't happen, that's one play.
Yeah, and that's like saying everybody that thought Mike Tyson was one punch away from knocking him out. But that punch rarely came. So the other night,
we were 2 or 3 plays away from winning the game. It ain't like we were. I mean, yeah, 10 points is the largest deficit we've ever, as far as score goes, in Bryant-Denny under Saban. I get that. But with that being said, we were a couple of plays away from still winning the game. It's not like we got drilled.
Yeah,
Look at the statistics. I mean, the statistics, we were better this year than last year with a generational quarterback. I showed you.
Here's the difference in your comment, and I somewhat agree with it. It's not that we're a couple of plays away from winning it. We're a couple of players away from winning it, because we didn't have a Bryce Young. We don't have an A.J. McCarron. We don't have a Kevin Norwood that's clutch, that can come up and make the play. We don't have it. Nobody wanted to step up the other night. And Milroe, I love the kid. I think he's a great kid. But he proved the other night that weight is too big for his shoulders. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Listen, I've said over and over again, it's tough for me to put to put a lot of the blame on Milroe. Yes, he made some mistakes. Some of the mistakes I believe that he made that we didn't see were mental mistakes. The 2 interceptions were 2 interceptions. They were horrible. Part of that's mental because, I mean, he locked in on the guy and he didn't change and he threw it right there. The difference for me is if you watched Sark's offense run a very similar play, they had a guy holding the safety, a receiver holding the safety from a scheme perspective. When Milroe threw the 2 interceptions, there was one receiver on that side. Maybe we have the highlights on it. There was one receiver on that side. There were no other receivers holding the safety. And for me, that's scheme. Now, yes, Milroe threw the football, but the scheme, the play,
I agree,
was not designed very well.
Then there was another play like that, but I know exactly which one you're talking about. The first pick, and if they want to roll that, so we can see it. But that was, I agree. I don't understand the purpose of that pass. I don't understand the purpose of that play when clearly the route was not going to cause any separation between the corner and a safety or a star that came over. It was double coverage. Yes, he threw it, but my question is, why are we running that route? And we know what type of coverage they're going to be in, and we don't have anybody to draw the safety or the star off of him.
Yeah, we could break down several plays. I know that during the game, I think you and I were talking, Jimmy, afterwards. During the game, there were multiple times that, Milroe just didn't trust his arm. Had open receivers, he just didn't trust his arm. He didn't trust being that quarterback. he held the ball a little bit longer. I think I even stated that, they had 5 sacks. 2 of the 5 were Milroe's fault. It wasn't the offensive line. The
Agreed. He
offensive
ran
line
right.
don't have eyes in the back of their head. They don't know what he's doing. They have a blocking scheme that they have set up, and they don't know what he's doing. And I know 2 of the 5 I put on Jalen Milroe for either not getting rid of it sooner or not moving in a different direction sooner. But anyway, the point is, I'm uncertain, just as a fan watching and somebody that has a little bit of knowledge. I'm not professing to be a Division I football coach, but I got a little bit of knowledge. I'm just uncertain that he can get there. Maybe he can, man. I hope that he does, because he's a really, really good athlete. I'm just uncertain that the mental part of the game, that he can be the guy for us, because there's a gauntlet coming in the SEC. There's some big games coming that now it really is, there's no room for error. And we're only 2 games in. So hang tight. Got to take another short break. Still got a lot to talk about. Still got a game coming up this Saturday that's going to hopefully help us ease our minds a little bit. It should anyway. But we'll come back and talk a little bit more. We'll talk about the Texas game, but then we'll get into South Florida. So, Tide fans, hold your seats. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Experience is key when selecting a flooring company, and at Huckabee Brothers Floor Covering, we bring unrivaled expertise to the table. From excellent flooring installations to swift and efficient water damage restoration, we've got you covered. Our commitment to customer satisfaction is unwavering. We take pride in exceeding customer expectations. Don't compromise on quality or convenience. Call Huckabee Brothers Floor Covering today, the ultimate choice for exceptional flooring solutions and unmatched customer satisfaction.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. We're going to go into this last segment. Maurice has got a few plays that he's going to actually break down and show us. So, Maurice, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can kind of show us what you were talking about earlier with respect to some of the plays that you wanted to bring up.
All right. Let's roll tape. All right, here we are on, I believe this is the first pick by Milroe. And Sean, you and I were just talking about this. Two coverages out there. There was nothing tricky about this as far as a design route, a receiver just going out there and sitting with an outside and inside man. Milroe misses the inside man. He could have probably gone deep on this and had it. I mean, it
Maurice, really quick, yeah. my personal opinion, the DB baited it.
Sure.
DB baited it. I wasn't as upset with this interception as I was the second interception.
Yeah, the second interception was just ugly and real. I mean, did him on this one. The other one, he didn't even really bait him because he was just there. Right. So it was an easy pick and kind of changed whatever little momentum we had in the second quarter. And here's one where I don't understand why we were letting so much action take place in the flats in front of us. I know that we had everybody backed off, but still we're getting separation out there. We got lucky here with an incomplete pass that should have been 6 by Texas. We held them to just a field goal on that one. So I'm questioning, what was our coverage scheme on this? It's like we're letting people underneath. And to what Jimmy said, what you can't stand is that bend but don't break mentality. You're bending for what? I mean, you're allowing them to move down the field, take time of possession. So, I think those were a couple of critical plays in the first half that I'll say game changer, but it definitely.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, talking about Milroe, yeah, we've talked about the athlete he is. And, we've had athletes that's played quarterback before. Now, not necessarily in recent years, but other programs we use an athlete to play quarterback. I'm perfectly fine with him being a quarterback, but you can't expect him to be a drop back passer though. You can't expect him to sit back 3-step and throw it, because like I said again, he didn't process that at all. He just said, okay, I'm I'd step back on, he didn't even,
So
so if you're gonna use him as your quarterback, you gotta do a different scheme.
that's exactly what I was just about to
RPOs,
say.
quick slants,
How about
maybe take the top off of it, like say, which we've done, I mean, in the 2 games a couple of times, so.
hey, I got an idea. I mean, listen, again, I'm not a Division I coach, but with an athlete at quarterback, how many times did we see him roll out? How many times did we see a schemed, structured rollout with a chance to throw or run?
Exactly.
I mean,
he's not.
I agree with what.
So if he's going to be the quarterback, you got
to fit him. If he's going to be the quarterback, you got to
to.
put an offense out there and packages, not just that fits him. I think we got another play, Maurice, for you to break down.
Well, yeah, his whole design should be within 3 seconds. The ball, you should be making a decision. So you can go ahead and roll tape on this one. Here in the second quarter.
This is the first.
Yeah, I mean, this is another swing pass, and we go deep, or they go deep on it rather. They get the flag. I mean, the second one, and I think Arnold, I think he's good. I don't want us to get on him. I think he tries. That one was definitely pass interference. There's one in the second half that I didn't agree with, but this shows you that Sark was going to pull out everything to try to win this game. A lateral or behind the back pass, rather, behind the line of scrimmage, and
double pass. Double pass.
Yeah. So, and yeah, he got some jersey. I don't have a problem. I'd rather give up, the penalty than the touchdown. But that just gave them momentum, and credit to McCures. Had a great game. This was just, I'm not sure. They were saying that there should have been safety help. I don't know where the safety was on that, but
he's the one that got beat.
He's the one that got beat. And I will say this: this is a perfectly thrown pass and a incredible catch.
Oh, I agree.
Freshman Caleb Downs playing in his really first big game. I mean,
But to what you were saying earlier, Sean, that is something that was perfectly designed as far as the pass goes, knowing that I can get this guy open based on formation and what they're going to be in. So, I mean, seeing it again, and as far as, well, that's Arnold getting some jersey again. But I just think, look, I've always thought Sarkisian was a great play caller.
We all knew coming in.
Yeah. And so he knows what the next play is. I don't want to get on the coordinators already, but between Reese and Sarkisian, who are you going to take?
So let's just say this. How do you guys believe where we are right now? Game 2, 1-1, did what we were supposed to do against Middle Tennessee State. We knew Texas was going to be a bigger challenge. We were all saying that. Saban was saying that. We all knew that they were a good football team. We knew they were well coached in Sarkisian. We knew offensively they were going to be really good because they had 10 returning starters. We knew that. Do you feel like where we are right now, do you have the confidence that we can compete in the next 9 games, 10 games that we have?
Yes.
You believe that we can compete?
Yes.
Maurice?
Absolutely not. I think Tennessee, Ole Miss, maybe even Auburn. I'm not altogether sold on LSU, but they were able to do it to us last year. So I can give you 2 games that actually put fear in me, and that's Ole Miss and Tennessee. That because of Josh Heupel and Lane, their play calling and design. I can see this team losing at least 2 more if something doesn't change, which we'll see.
I believe that something drastic has to change on multiple facets. Defensively, and again, I know we got some talent. I know we have talented players. Some were on a big stage Saturday night. I think Caden Proctor, the left tackle, was introduced to real Division I college football on Saturday night. I think he's going to be a really, really good player. Caleb Downs got introduced to real Division I football on Saturday night. I think he's going to ultimately maybe be an All-American. I think the kid's super talented and plays very aggressively. I'm still just a little concerned that all the things that we talk about, coaching, schemes, chip on your shoulder, those types of things, I still just have some concerns that if we don't fix them now, soon, Ole Miss, Tennessee, LSU, Texas A&M, and listen, Mississippi State's not going to be a slouch. They're going to throw the football all over the field.
I'm going to say it one more time. 2 touchdowns called back because of stupid penalties. One really, really, really bad interception that cost us
a touchdown.
A touchdown. One missed real route where a guy was wide open, and we win the game.
But listen,
we will be in every game we play the rest of the season. Do we need?
We've been ifing about this since
we need to
last year.
get better, yes, or things to work on. You cut out the penalties, we're fine. End of story.
So I don't disagree with the things that you just said. I, Sean Taylor, do not have the confidence that we can get there. I don't believe that we should have missed the wheel route. We're talking about we are the University of Alabama.
He's not the only quarterback that's ever missed a wheel route.
We can't miss those wheel routes in big games.
He's not the only quarterback we've ever had.
Absolutely, he's not. Absolutely, he's not. I just want. Maybe I want too badly for us to get back to where we were, but gosh, we got to be able to connect on those. In a big game, you got to be able to throw that. He had the time. It was open. It wasn't even a tight throw. He just needed to throw it to him. And there's nobody in front of him. It's a touchdown.
Jimmy, go back to when we went for 2. And I believe it was Tabon where he got hit and almost broke his neck. He was open before that. And I'm not here to just dogpile on Milroe, but he should have made that decision a second or two earlier, and it was there. And that just is indicative of his uncertainty or his
him trusting his arm.
He's not altogether sure. Yeah. So
I think Milroe has to get better. Exactly. I mean, he has to get better. I think we need to play another quarterback this week along with Milroe. I think that change is coming. But regardless, I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to get beat by Auburn or Ole Miss. We're better than those teams are.
I hope you're right. I will say that I do.
That's why they play them.
I will say that I do agree with you. If Milroe's going to be the quarterback, I'm okay with that. He just can't be the guy that's dropping back in the pocket and standing there. You've got to take advantage of his ability. You got to roll him out. You got to let him. And you maybe got to reduce the field in half so he don't have to read the whole field. He just got to read a half the field. And if not, run it. If he's going to be the quarterback.
I agree. RPO it to death. I don't care.
South Florida, Saturday, 3:30 game. What, Mo?
I was just going to say do something. RPO it or something like Jimmy said.
Yeah. South Florida. You already heard, you probably read, as soon as we lose that game, South Florida's kind of freaking out, going, oh my gosh. Probably right. We are supposed to go down there mad. We're supposed to go down there ticked off, with something to prove. I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. Just quick.
So I'm not taking anything from that game whatsoever because we should go down and take care of business like we did the first game.
Correct.
What I want to see is the quarterback. I want to see somebody else get a shot. That's
And,
what I'm
and,
looking
and clean up the penalties. Clean up the penalties.
But I want to see a second quarterback given an opportunity, just to see.
I don't disagree. Maurice,
What's the line on this game?
gosh,
At 30,
30,
30 or something.
yeah, I thought it was 30 plus.
I know South Florida hadn't been good the past few years, but I will take the points on this one. And
Okay.
until Bama can prove otherwise, keep in mind, yeah, we did it in Middle Tennessee State at home. This is on the road. I don't, like I said, I've heard this. We're ticked off, yada yada yada. That's great. Now go on the road and do something, and prove it, and show them that you're Alabama. If it's going to be close, or if it's like within 20 points, if we win, I'm not saying that we will, but you got bigger problems.
So Saturday, 3:30 game. Tide fans will come back on next week here on Channel 207. We'll review the South Florida game. I feel confident we're going to get a win. I believe we'll cover the spread 45-3, 45-7. I believe we'll cover. I believe it'll be ugly. I agree with you. I'm not going to really take anything away from this game because we're supposed to go down there and beat them up a little bit. So we'll be back here next week, Tide fans, on Channel 207. Hold your seats. We'll see you next week on Tide Talk. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.